Hey everyone, it's Lauren Ruffles here. Today we're going to be talking about the launch pad that was just introduced a few weeks ago. I just got my samples, so let's get right to it. Oh, he's ready. Today I'm going to be talking about Launchpad. Launchpad is not your typical collection. Think of it more as a program. So Launchpad is our attempt at kind of giving designers a little peek behind the curtain to our newest collections, because when you're a manufacturer and you consider a new collection and when you might be launching that, there are typically a a whole library of collections that are being considered, and then we might pick one or two of those products to actually go to launch in a collection. This program is actually showcasing all those designs that actually don't come to life, and so this is kind of our way of showing you some more high design, innovative, exciting new products that aren't sampled the same. I won't necessarily have sample books, but I will have some samples in some colors, and I'll have a fun booklet that I can leave behind that's more I can add and take away as we get new designs in the Launchpad program. So stay tuned. I'm going to go through the 12 styles that were launched with with our first introduction of Launchpad. So let's get started. This is DL904 in the Pearl colorway, a really playful style from the new Launchpad program. It's got that kind of pebble texture with this really cute speckled background, and just really offers a nice monolithic look when it's installed. As you can see here, it's really hard to see where the tile is, but it's very playful pattern. This is DL903 in colorway Fieldstone. It's got these really lovely geometric shapes. It gives it this very Bauhaus aesthetic with this low pile height. It's very European as far as the texture goes, and really interesting pattern with the geometric shapes. And as you can see with the install shot, it really activates the floor. And this offers the same low pile texture with a really similar colorway, but just those vertical and horizontal lines that are really very subtle. But as you can see in the installation image, you can see it a little bit more clearly when next to the DL903. When they're put together, it really offers some interesting dynamic to this floor. This is DL902. This has a slightly more subtle pattern to it, less obvious lines to it, and I think it offers a more subtle look. And so if you're looking for less pattern, this is a great option. And with the Launchpad program, there's a lot of really innovative styles, including this style here. This is DL905, DL906, DL907. So starting with DL907, it has this kind of etched, worn, kind of aged aesthetic. It's almost cracked, and it's really, really beautiful even on its own, but then it's even more interesting when you take into consideration this transition tile, DL906. It's got these two very contrasting colors with this interesting break, as you can see, and even some more vertical and horizontal lines, whereas there's DL905, which would be on the other side, finishing that transition. It's going to have that same texture, relatively low actually, but that inverted colorway, and again still etched, kind of got that cracked look to it. It's really beautiful, very elegant. This is speckled, so now we're getting into some of our planks. Speckled has this really lovely surprise color to it. So it's very plush, but the color is actually a little bit lower and really kind of hides in the carpet tile. It's really very subtle. So when you're walking and approaching a space with this product, you wouldn't necessarily see all the color, but when you're standing above it, it really is very interesting. And the colors that are offered in this plank, hi Ruffles, is actually really varies, and I encourage you to get a couple tiles to see the full variation. This is Velvet Bark, inspired by tree bark, actually. You might be able to see that now that I mention it, but it's got some nice movement to it, but it's going to be offered in more of our neutral kind of base offerings. And this in the installation image, I think, shows that full movement of that tree bark inspiration. Uprooted, this has some of that color introduction. Talk about that transition tile. This is transitioning with a little bit of that color. This 3 series of tiles are going to be more on that plush side, but as you can see, it's going to offer a lot of look. So you're going to get a lot of texture, a lot of color, and a lot of dynamic, a lot of movement. And then finishing with Deeply Rooted, this is going to have the most color and going to offer kind of the most active look because it has that high contrast and that pop of color. It's really lovely. Again, still going to be on that more plush side, but I mean, it's going to really activate the floor, and on its own, it would look really pretty amazing, really make a statement, as you can see in this, and still has that kind of bark inspiration with the aesthetic. And then getting into the next trio of planks, DL908 has more of that kind of nubby texture. It's really more of that knit sweater texture, has a little bit more depth to it. Not super thick, not super plush, but kind of that nice medium range. But that loopy texture gives it some nice height, which I think is really fun. And there's the installation image, really goes down monolithic and really seamless. This is DL909. This has some of that loopy texture in combination with the more flat weave. So it has this interesting combination, and you can see throughout the middle of that tile more of that loopy texture. And then as you can see where the direction seems to be different, that's where that texture is going to vary. So this is the DL910, the final of the transition, so that more flat texture. It's a little bit hard to tell. I highly encourage you to order samples because it's really gorgeous, but it's really going to offer anybody that's obsessed with texture and variations in texture. This is so subtle, but really offers some gorgeous opportunities for texture transition, like I mentioned. So this hopefully gives you the full view with that like live physical sample view, starting with that flat weave to that more loopy texture to the full-on like nubby loopy texture. So lovely. Hey everyone, thanks so much for checking out my video today. Ruffles and I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Bye!